This is a Merrick Studios podcast. This week on Two Mothers, One Ashé.
To lose Jakobi, it was something very, very sudden. It was sudden and unexpected. You know what I'm saying? It was just so quick, I remember it feeling very weird, like 2 years old. He got hit by a hit-and-run driver, and he was holding Chinyelu's hand. Chinyelu was 10 at the time. And they crossing the street, and car just kind of swiped him and hit him and knocked him, and then it landed up under a street light.
Welcome to Two Mothers, One Aché, a grief dialogue. I'm Dionne.
And I'm Yvette. We're mothers, friends, and sisters in grief.
I lost my daughter, Siwe, at 15 years old.
And I lost my son, Dasan, at 26.
This podcast is our space to talk about grief, how it shapes us, how it lingers, and how love carries us through. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey, football fans, you could win a once-in-a-lifetime trip to the 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement events, in person, in Canton. How do you kick this off? Grab Snapdragon apples at your local store, then go to snapdragonapple.com for official rules and enter. No purchase necessary. Ends February 28th, 2026. Open to U.S. residents 18 and older. Void where prohibited.
Hey, sis, what's going on?
Listen, I'm so happy to be here with you, ready to talk to this woman. I done heard so much about her. I done seen her on TV, and now we're going to talk about her and give her flowers.
You ever experienced that someone's energy just kind of takes your breath away a little bit?
Yeah.
Our guest today does that.
That's right. All right.
Yeah.
So, my friends, today we are honored to sit with a woman whose life's work speaks the language of moving from purpose into purpose born from pain. Ooh, now, I didn't ask her to make sure if I mess up her name, she better not be mad at me. Shamayim, Mama Shu Harris is a mother, community activist, an educator, and a visionary builder of what healing can look like when grief refuses to stay hidden. Mama Shu is the founder and CEO of Avalon Village in Highland Park, Michigan, an urban oasis built on love, intention, and the radical belief that communities deserve beauty, dignity, and care. After serving Detroit schools for more than 27 years, she chose to extend her devotion beyond classrooms and into land, architecture, and collective healing. Avalon Village is not an idea. It is a living, breathing response to pain, a place where blight was transformed into beauty, where healing was made accessible. What began as a vision has grown into dozens of reclaimed parcels, homes, gardens, learning spaces, and centers for wellness, creativity, and economic empowerment. Mama Shu's leadership has been recognized nationally and globally, from being named a CNN Hero Top 10 finalist to receiving the honor of USA's Today's Woman of the Year. But what moves us most is not the recognition, it's the intention behind her work. As two mothers, Yvette and I, who have also been changed by grief, we recognize something deeply familiar in Mama Shu's journey. The moment when pain asks a question, the moment when grief demands meaning, and the courage it takes to answer choosing purpose. Today's conversation is not about tragedy, it's about transformation. We will move gently, we will honor what deserves privacy, and we will explore how grief, when met with love and community, can become a force that allows life to continue vibrantly, peacefully, and even joyfully. Mama Shu, thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting this space. Thank you for showing us what it looks like when purpose rises from love. Thank you for running for mayor. Thank you for being. Thank you.
Thank you.
All of it. As y'all can see, for our friends that are on YouTube, I already started crying because the what you've taken on feels so monumental. It feels so big. It feels so full of love, driven by love, and it's overwhelming for me emotionally. So I would love for us to transition at this point to taking our breath, because I know I need one. And I would love for our guests and even you, Mama Shu, to join us in with this breath work, because oftentimes people don't realize that we forget to breathe.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So, Mama Shu, before we ask you any questions, well, we're going to acknowledge the work and the love, the intention that you carry into this space. We feel it. We're not rushing. And this breath transition that we do is really important, just for a full pause. So, my friends at home, if you're new to our podcast, we generally start with breathing, as Yvette said, to ground us. I tend to close my eyes. I love one hand on my heart and another hand on my belly so I can really breathe gratitude into these spaces and allow myself to be fully present in our body, all of us connected from wherever you are. Of course, my friends that are driving, you keep your eyes open. Please take a deep breath in and a gentle sigh out. Pull air into your nostrils and hold it in at the top. And then a gentle exhale out. Pull air in and feel the air coming into your nostrils, into your sinuses, into the back of your throat, into your lungs. Really allow them to expand. And then let the air come out of both nostrils as you seal your lips. One more time together, creating this beautiful circle of space wherever you are in the world. Pull air in and let it all go. Release, surrender, allow.
Ooh, well,
Mm,
I'm ready.
me too, girl. Thank you. Thank
Mama
you.
Shu, we've spoken about all that you've built, and probably not even been able to scratch the full surface of it all. But before Avalon Village, I have a question, because we all, those of us that understand grief and that work within our grief spaces, um, before that vision became a physical manifestation of your purpose, introduce us to what your grief process was like. What was it, or um, what did you own in needing in those, like, what did you own in terms of the need for those early moments when pain began, um, and began to ask you to live in your purpose. I'm sorry that the question is sort of segmented, but I I'm coming a little bit off the cuff, because I know that there was a point in my grief process where my grief was banging on my door telling me it has to make sense. There has to be a reason for it. And what are you going to do about it? Right? Pushing me into my purpose. I'd love for you to share with us what that process, that very small window, what that process was like for you.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to, uh, be on your podcast. And it's a pleasure to meet you. And it's always good to, it's healing actually to talk about my grief processes and just talk about grief, period. Every moment that I get a chance to remember the wonderful ancestors, I just love it. I love the opportunity, and it's a step uh, forward more for soothing. It's
Mm-hmm.
soothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think your question was basically, because there was a lot there. I think basically your question is that, like, grieving different losses, and I can point back to maybe one of the most devastating ones that I've had besides my children,
Mm.
was my mother.
Mm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
and so where I was really, you just knew it, and like, oh my goodness, it was when my mother died, and my mother was she was 48 years old when she died. So I was a young
Wow.
woman when
Wow.
she died. I got one sister. And so, yeah. And to be able to watch that whole process and watch her. But I remember my mother and her her personality and what she was about. And my mom, she was an Aquarius. She always taught me to be free and do the things that make me happy. And she always knew some of the things that I dreamed of, because I was one of those kids that, had, big ideas, and I did things and all of that. And she was like, I can see you doing that. I remember her saying that. I can see you doing that. Well, go ahead. And I remember her telling me that my stuff don't have to look like everybody else's. I
Ashé.
remember her telling me that, and so that was one of the most, to me, devastating things, was to lose your mother. To me, it
Yeah.
was at that
Yeah.
point in time. And
You're
that's when I
48 with
recognized
mom.
it.
Go ahead and say her name. Mama, what's mama's
Her
name?
name is Christine.
Mama
Ashé.
Christine. Go ahead, Mama
Yes,
Christine.
yes, her name
Ashé.
is Mama Christine. Actually, her birthday was just January the 29th. And she was
Oh,
born in 1947.
okay.
So yeah, yep. And so I remember just how my mother was and everything. And I know that I'm a part of her. So it's just really living out her. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
That's what I do with my ancestors. They're parts of me, and it's these unfulfilled things, maybe, that for them to be able to carry out here on the planet, like in real time, physically and everything. And so those things are instilled in me. So my mom's thing, it was keep it moving.
Ashé.
My mom's thing was just keep it moving. This
Yes.
is part of the process of life. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And you doing good and stuff, but this is you can do something with this. And so that's when I started kind of really because that was the deepest. I've lost my grandfather. We
Oh,
have people that we lose, but I'm talking about
absolutely.
people that's like, that was the most to me devastating um loss, was the loss of a parent, was the
Right.
loss of my
That
mother.
was that was your anchor. That was your rock.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, we
was.
often hear that, Dionne and I, in our grief coaching practices, that when a child loses their parent, that they feel untethered, particularly when they lose their mothers, like they feel untethered from whatever their connection was
Mhm.
into, like, the ethers or into the heavens, right? They feel like that cord has been severed when they lose a parent. So I'm sorry
Mhm.
for your loss. And your loss is, right? I mean, we all have to acknowledge that, and I
And
thank you for that story and answering my question, because you did answer it. Because what I heard you say is that, that purpose drive started with the loss of your mother, and she gave you the tools to alchemize your
Hmm.
pain into purpose. So thank you for that.
You're
and it
welcome.
also sounded like you said from childhood, she always said, "Okay, you can do that." Like she was such a cheerleader. It sounds like
Yes.
Mama Christine saw you and believed in you, and whether she knew how to do it or what to do, she was like, "Well, go ahead then."
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And her recognizing too that my thinking as a young adult and a teenager, and just young adulthood, she recognized that some of the things that I wanted to do didn't look like everybody else's.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
my mother, she keyed into that. You know what I'm saying? She knew, like, oh, okay, you want to do that, not that, just like quote unquote regular stuff.
Right.
She knew and felt that it was, I would just wanted to go in some other direction, my own, another direction with things. That wasn't really the norm, or what people thought that was regular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no, it
she didn't.
definitely is not regular, because when you talk about over, someone who kind of thinks out of the box, right? And I was always okay with coloring outside of the line. I didn't need to
Hmm.
stay inside the line. In fact, I kind of begrudged the lines. And so I wasn't always given that support. So I find it extremely um I don't know. It's a
Heartwarming.
gift. It's heartwarming. It's a gift. Yes. When I'm able to hear that other women of color, Black and brown women, being supported by the women in their families to just color outside the box. I
Yeah.
think that's incredible.
Too many of us are told to do things a certain way, and so when you have a mom, my mom was that way as well. She's like, "I don't know how to do that, but let's figure it out. I'll help you."
Yep.
I don't, okay, because we came up with things that they were just like, "Huh? You want? Oh, all right. We better figure out how to do that." Back when we had the library and the Dewey Decimal System, we were gonna figure it out.
Oh my
Shoot,
God, I
shoot,
remember
coming
that.
into the podcast space. Listen, I called Dionne and said, I got an idea. I was like, Spirit, our ancestors came and told me we should do this. And I was like, I have no clue, Dionne, but are you in? And she was like, what?
Yep. Yep.
I said, give me 2 weeks. I'm going to figure this out. And we did.
Okay.
And here we
Yeah.
are.
Here we are. And but what I'm curious about now, and again, I told you our script is off script.
That's okay.
Knowing that it was Mama Christine as the first major loss, because when I'm thinking of, all of us have had children, we've given birth multiple times. Oddly enough, I felt like each birth was different. By the time I had my second child, I thought I knew what I was doing, but the labor was different. Everything was different about that pregnancy. So it makes me wonder, with the first loss being Mama Christine, what was it like with your first son that passed? And how was that grieving process different? Because I feel like you may have 3 different stories of how it carried you and what that process was like.
Mm-hmm. So with my other son, my first son, his name is Jakobi Ra. His name means star, and his middle name is Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
He was born on Marcus Garvey's birthday,
Oh,
so he was a
wow.
Leo, and his birthday is August the 17th. And so, yeah, with Jakobi, so I had Jakobi. I was almost close to 40 when I had him, and he became an ancestor at 2 years, 6 months, and 2 days. That's when he became an ancestor, how old he was.
Mm.
And so I
Mm.
remember just having him. He was really, really, to me, a showstopper, first of all, because he was 10 pounds and 2 ounces. He was the largest baby that I had. So he was already just, to me, very special. Like, we're this big old baby. I just didn't, I'm like, whoa, I never had a baby that large before. Everybody was maybe 6 pounds, 3 ounces. That was Chinyelu. And then my other daughter's 7, and one of them was 8, but he was the largest one. And to lose Jakobi, it was something very, very sudden. It was sudden and unexpected. You know what I'm saying? It was just everything. It was just so quick. I remember it feeling very weird. Like 2 years old, my son got hit. He got hit by a hit and run driver, and he was holding Chinyelu's hand. Chinyelu was 10 at the time. And they crossing the street, and the car came. I was at my store called the Black Hole at the time, right up on Woodward. And I remember the kids, they were walking across the street, they said, and then the car just kind of swiped them and hit them and knocked them. And then it landed up under a street light.
Lord.
When he was 2 years, 1 month, and 6 days old is what he was. And so it was just a surprise that something like that would happen. And then my daughter, her name is Kafi. I recall them all running up to the store, telling me that Jakobi got hit. Jakobi got hit. And I remember Chinyelu telling me, and he swiped them out of my hand. So my son, I remember talking to him. It was like the wind of Jakobi. You could just feel it. It just was, and he was 10 years old, And I remember, I'm just recalling right now. Marcus Garvey says, "Find me in the whirlwind. Find me in the whirlwind." And it was so fast. And Chin described just the air, that it was just so fast like that. And then my daughter, she was 12 years old at the time. She came outside and picked up Jakobi from where he landed, was by the street light, and she carried him. And she was 12 years old. And my daughter has got some strength in her. She's 30 years old right now. But she was 12 years old, and she picked him up. Everybody else is panicking. She picked him up, and then she went and ran and got a comforter. And then she wrapped him up in the comforter. My husband was upstairs sleeping because he was a musician and was working, late. And so he was sleeping during the day. And so we didn't wait till the ambulance got there. And I recall them, they hopped in the back of the car. I'm still at work, and we're like, we'll meet them there. And he was speeding very, very fast on his way to the hospital. And Kafi was in the back seat holding Jakobi. He was 2, holding him inside of one of our comforters. And so she was just shaking him like, come on,
It's gonna be
baby
all
brother,
right.
shaking him
Mhm.
and stuff. And she was 12 years old. She was just all composed and everything. It just was really magical how
Wow.
she reacted. And
Yeah.
then I remember her telling me, she said, and then I heard I heard him stop breathing. She knew that he stopped breathing. And so by the time he got to the hospital, he was brain damaged because it was over 6 minutes. And I remember her telling me the exact moment that she knew he had stopped breathing and everything. So they got him and they was trying to resuscitate him. And what happened was is that they didn't resuscitate. He was brain damaged, hooked them all up. And
Mm.
then I was to make the calls to
Ooh.
everybody and let them know that the baby got hit by a car.
Mm.
Unfortunately, my other daughter, Aziza, that's my oldest daughter. She's 36. She was just went away to school, Central State. She
Mm.
wasn't there a couple of months. She just went in August and everything popped off in September the 23rd, the first day of fall is when that happened. And I remember her, Kafi, sitting on the side of the baby, and folks was just coming up to say goodbye and everything, and Kafi sat right there. And I remember when Aziza came, it was almost like they changed guards because Kafi and Jakobi were very, very close. And then
Mm.
Aziza got her turn, and then she sat there, and Kafi didn't move. Her clothes was still like bloody and everything, but she just didn't move. She was right there with her baby brother. And then my other daughter came in and everybody said its goodbyes. And I had to, how when it's just brain damage, it's nothing really that you can do and stuff. And so that's what we did. We just made the decision to
Mm.
let go, And so I just remember that actual moment. But that's it in a nutshell, how all of that happened.
Ooh. Thank you so
Wow.
much for sharing that. And I could see it, I could feel it. I felt like you was such a vivid imagery of what you shared. And
Yeah.
since you haven't met Yvette yet, so she personally knows what it is. Because so much of your story, although Dasan was 26, echoes her loss with Dasan and having to make that decision. But I
Yeah.
think it was longer in terms of the minutes, but it's
Yeah.
so similar.
I was driving down. I got the call that he had a cardiac arrest, and we didn't really know exactly what happened. Honestly, it was a lot, and I just know they had to Narcan him, and they ambulance took 15 minutes. In the hood in Brooklyn. He was in Brooklyn. They took 15 minutes to get to him, 20 minutes to resuscitate him. So he went 40 minutes without oxygen, and but we were very we were post COVID, but not too much in 2021. So it took a while to get all the scans. I was just like, "Yeah, y'all go ahead and hook him up, and Imma sit here and take my time to have my conversation with God, and if it's God's will, then he's gonna come through this, and if not, I just need to know. I need to see it for myself that his brain
Hmm.
is damaged." And, it took 7 days, but that's 7 days
Mm.
that I had to come to terms with what the reality of it all was going to be. And, just to echo Dionne, like, your vivid description, my God, now I understand. I'm highly empathic, and so, there was a reason
Mhm.
why I couldn't catch my breath. There was so much of that wind. Wind had played such a big part in his transition, and, I viscerally feel it in my body, and my God, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that
Thank
with
you for
me.
sharing too,
You
Yvette.
mm,
Mm.
wow. Ooh, I'm almost, at a loss for words,
Well,
but I wanna
I
keep the
got you.
momentum going.
Yeah. So even well, now we've got two losses, and there's still another one for you, Mama Shu. But
Mhm.
what has helped you? What helped you back then, staying present? Hearing your children. I'm like, my God. I was like, me at 12. I don't know. Y'all, they would have been picking me up, but your
Yeah,
baby.
my daughter was 12 as well when, she had just turned 12 when her brother transitioned, and so
Mhm.
and she was also extremely mature through it,
Hmm.
and still to this day she grieves in her own way. She has
Mhm.
her own container that she shares space with her brother,
Mhm.
an energetic container, and it's something man, between those siblings, that is a bond that is forever. I have one of my best friends. She also lost her brother when she was like 19, and that was when we were, that was a lot of years ago for us,
Mhm.
and still to this day, right? Like that sibling, there's something about that sibling energy, and when one sibling loses another sibling, my goodness, and to witness that is pretty profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shared so much. If you need to take a breath, take a breath. But
No, I'm
what,
good.
what held you? Like who or what?
Who
I
held
know,
you? What held you? That's right.
yeah, who and what? Because I feel like we're always wanting to share something that our listeners can anchor onto when they hear
Mhm.
and bear witness to someone else's loss. So, what held you?
So, so one of the things with Jakobi, I remember thinking this too. I remember having conversations, with your peers and all of that, and oh my God, you hear about somebody losing their child, and you have conversations like, oh my God, I wouldn't know what I would do if my child died or whatever. I'm just gonna crawl into the casket, and I mean, you for real, this is like conversations that you have. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't know how I can do it. I don't know how that mom, how that dad, how that family can actually go through that. And I recall like
Right.
when that happened with me with Jakobi, when that happened with Jakobi, I remember saying that. And then I remember like, I know I ain't gonna be able to make it. And then the next day I actually woke up. I didn't die. I didn't, I remember thinking that like, man, this is like the pain of a lifetime. And I knew it like I never knew nothing could really hurt this bad. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? It's like, what the heck is going on? And I recall when I woke up, I'm like, oh my God. And that's when I knew I was invincible, is when I woke up and I was able to just, and I was like, oh my God, I am here. The worst thing in my mind that I figured, look, my kids died, is I'm over. I'm gonna be on drugs. I'm about to be on heroin. I'm for real.
listen.
You just don't know what is next. I'm like, this is, and I remember just waking up. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I was just thankful to the ancestors. And I remember that this was bearable.
Mm,
I always think about this. I'm like, this is bearable. I'm like, okay, okay. Like, like, did you die though? I didn't. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm very, very thankful about, um, about Jakobi, is that, okay, this is bearable. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to keep working. And it also took me to a level of it. It's just so, it's really something, because those things also elevate you at the
Mm.
same time,
that's right.
and
That's
so
right.
that's what happened with Jakobi. It was an elevation of uh what it is that was going on in my life, you know what I'm saying, the things that were happening, because I had just gained an ambassador in the heavens that was going
Mm,
to work for me
that's
and work
right.
with me.
That's right.
And so I'm like, okay, all right then. And so it takes a minute, because you do have your times, but my thing is that I just allowed myself to feel the way that I was feeling and just, let it go. But one thing about me is that I didn't stay stuck. You know how sometimes some people that have lost their children for real, and it's just a sad thing, they are still in a way and not able to find their way, and so they work on it, and it's something to work on, and it's nothing overnight. But the pain was intense, very, very intense for the first few years. And
Mm,
that was 2007 is
mm-hmm,
when that happened with Jakobi.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mama
So,
T, I love this. I love this so much because you've probably said ancestors at least 5, 6, 7 times
oh,
since the opening of this conversation. Dionne and I, we always talk about the ancestors. We always bring them back as a source of our
Strength.
motivation, our power, our strength to move forward. I
yes.
felt very electric as you were talking about the power that you wielded from your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's yeah, I mean, because Dionne and I often speak about that immeasurable pain, how immeasurable that pain is. But you were able to look it and face it, witness it, bear witness it,
Hmm.
right? And then tell it, okay, you're not gonna, okay, I woke up today. I woke up today and that's enough for me. I'm gonna
Yep.
move forward today as best as I can. and we're just going to keep going and we're going to build on it. But some days are not so great, are they?
Please. No. Yeah. But something I'm going to tag in. I'm like on my, jump in. I'm jumping in like my double dutch.
You're double dutching it right now.
Jump in, Dionne.
Some of our ancestors. So Mama Christine told you, you're going to keep moving. And then Jakobi was the whirlwind that took the air away. And then you woke up the next day and I said, well, it didn't kill me. So what can I do with it? And how am I going to move forward? You were so built. It was such, Mama Christine built it into you so much to keep moving. And then you were like, I think I'm just going to die. And when you woke up, it's like, okay, I didn't die. So what can I build? And you have built so much.
I often say Dasan, my son Dasan, Dasan's transition Dasan's transition gave birth to my ascension.
Listen,
that's something that when people ask me, right? Wow, how did, I don't know how you did it. Well, he pushed me in that direction. His transition really gave birth to my ascension. And so when you talked about, making something out of whatever was there, right? And moving that forward, to me, that's a picture of ascension. That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I echo that. I haven't talked about Seaway yet, but with Seaway, she died on June 29th, 2011. And I would say like the me I am now was born on that day because I died with her. The person that was there died with her. So this was a new version of me. And I took elements of that. And you said that with your mother, you took elements of Mama Christine into who you were. So I took elements of my daughter into who I am and brought that forward since she can't live forward into those things. But can I ask about the village? I know I want to hear about your other son, but I also want to hear about the village. So where do we go first, Yvette? The land, the village?
Yeah. So, what I'm feeling is, that, building the Avalon Village for you isn't so much because you talked about people getting stuck, right? And people feel like they can escape grief. To me, it feels like you stepped into it and you built it so that not to escape your grief, right? And you named certain parts of the village after your children. So you built it so life could keep going, so that way you can now open it up to the community. They can share with you and you can thrive in the face of the tragedy. So I want to know why the land, why the community, why Avalon? Like what was that? Where was the motivation to go in that direction?
So the motivation, I have to say this, the motivation for building community and all of that actually existed before the losses.
Okay.
It was already planted in me with my elders and a lot of them that are now ancestors. Some is in their 80s right now, late 70s that still are here. So it came then. It was like a thing where you know what to do. We were taught like that. So I came from a group of folks in a community that this is the way you get down. You do stuff for your community. You do programs. You teach children. You support the elders. It just was a thing to do. It was like a responsibility.
Yes.
Almost. That's the way that I felt about building building the village and doing the work and getting the land. And I remember some of my elders, they used to say free the land.
Yeah.
That's and so when they say free the land, I'm like, oh, okay, then well, let me go. This is what stuck to me as a young person, hearing free the land. This is what you do. Build your own stores and do this and do Kaumba and Ujima and lock all I mean, like, this is what I was raised on. And so hearing those things, that was already, I can say, embedded in my mind on what to do. I'll say that when the children became ancestors, and when we talk about elevating things, Jakobi was a level, right? And then Chinyelu, when my son Chinyelu, who became an ancestor 5 years ago, and he was murdered. That right there, that was to me another level. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, boom, take you through there, right? With Jakobi. Then here you go. Chinyelu just was a whole nother, man, you talking about out the blue, like, that was like That was real devastating and still very, very devastating. It's 5 years.
And we'll be right back.
Welcome to Merrick Studios, where stories take the mic and culture comes alive.
We're not just a network, we're family, bringing you smart, soulful, unfiltered conversations.
And this season, we're bringing the heat with our biggest lineup yet. Whatever you're into, music, sports, business, we got you covered.
Merrick Studios, where the conversation starts and keeps going.
Check out our full lineup, including Unglossy with Bun B, Jeffrey Sledge, and myself, Tom Frank. Now streaming at wearemerrickstudios.com.
Master the art of lyricism with Pendulum Mink, the first school for rap. Learn elite techniques through immersive lessons, real-world exercises, and guidance from hip-hop icons. This is where MCs sharpen their skills and glow boldly on the mic. Ready to level up? Visit pendulummink.com and start your journey today.
And now, back to the show.
And so that right there was another elevation. So when I began to understand, and I knew this, that the things that happen in your life and the journeys and the losses, I think that we need to submerge ourselves into it and be able to process it and really understand, because it's way more than just they just died. And there's this funeral and all of this. It's meaning. You get meaning from that, and they give you fuel to keep on living. It make you want to do your stuff even harder. First of all, it just does. And the thing about it is that what I understood about my children's death, and it was just because of my teachings and everything, is that you was just here for this amount of time, and that's it. And I had to learn that. Folks come here, and so people say, oh, his life was short and this and that. And it wasn't short. He was supposed to be here 2 years, 1 month, and 6 days. That's Jakobi. Chinyelu was here 23 years. That's it. That's when, so whatever we talked about, whatever our souls, it just made me remember that this is what it is. And I remember when Chien got killed, I was on a phone call, Board of Education phone call. I was on Zoom, and I remember hearing the gunshots and everything. And I'm sitting up there, and I opened up the door, and I remember I saw the killers who killed my son too. I saw who killed my son, and so I saw the first dude run, and then I saw the second dude. For some reason, the ancestors, I was calling out Chien's name. The dude that killed Chien, one of them, he looked like Chien, slender body, everything. So I thought it was Chien, and it was the first snow. It was on 1/26/21. It had just freshly snowed. And so you know how the snow, and I was on my porch, and so it was right across the street is where it happened. And so you see, the snow makes things illuminated a little bit where you can see better. So I was able to see this dude, and plus the streets talked, and they told me, like, here's who killed your son and all of that. But I remember saying, I was calling out Chien's name. I just kept calling his name. Then the dude, it was like, as soon as I just was calling Chien, then all of a sudden dude just went and just ran too behind with the other guy. But I got a chance to see him, and I don't know what that delay was. But I also remember this. I was on the Zoom call. The Zoom call was still there. Like I said, I was on the Board of Ed, so we were having a board meeting. And I remember hanging up the Zoom call, and I remember I was on the bottom of the steps, and I was getting ready to go over there. And I remember the ancestors saying, just as pure as day, man, I heard it. They were like, I was like, I need to go over there. They was like, no, go back up the steps. Back up on the porch and going out. And I'm like, and I swear, this was almost like an argument. You know how we want to argue with spirit and stuff, and they telling us one thing or whatever. And I said, but I got to. That's my son. Don't I need to go over there and go see? I remember clearly saying this. Don't I need to go over there and see what's going on over there? No, go back up the steps. Just all gentle and everything. And I'm like, and I went back up the steps, and I went in the house, and I did get my shawl. And then I did hop in the car, but it wasn't right then and there, because what could have probably happened is that they probably wouldn't have been shooting at me if I would have sit up there just going and chase. Because you know me, you want to smoke. I'm about to go chase your ass. This is like my kid, for real. So I'm finna go after them.
Period.
And so spirit just said, look, nope, you can't do that. And so I went in the house, and I got my poncho, and then I hopped in my car, and then I just drove that way. There was a young brother who was staying with us that I believe had something to do with it, and that's a whole nother story. And he called me, and he said, "Mom, they say he right here." I said, "Where?" They say he right here in the house behind you. So anyway, it was his friend's house right behind us. I'm talking about the house directly, go across the alley. There it was. And so that's where Chin was. And I remember riding over there, y'all. And I remember going in the house. I remember seeing Chin. What happened was is that when he was getting shot up and everything, he was running across Jakobi Ra Park. He ran to the side of their house because that was the friends and stuff. And, and he felt protected and everything. He ran down that way, and then he ran in the store and he collapsed in their doorway. And so when I went to, after the phone call, they told me where he was. I remember going in there, and I remember seeing Chin he was laying out like this and just to the side and stuff. Man, I remember I was like, I swear to God, this is what I was thinking. I was like, man, and I straddled him and I saw where he was shot at and everything. And I was just looking in his face and I was like, man, Chin. I said, this it, huh? I remember saying this to him, like, this it, like 23 years with mommy. This it, right? So I had to get and it was like, damn, this is the end of whatever his contract was to everything. And so here I am. And then I remember the police told me to get up, and, they had to get up, and they was trying to resuscitate him. So I remember standing outside, they rolled him out on the stretcher. And I remember sitting up there thinking, I was like, he's already gone. I already knew he was gone right there, just the way that he looked. And I just whispered to him in his ear. And I remember standing outside on the sidewalk, and I remember them resuscitating him and stuff. And I was like, and I remember thinking this, I don't know why they doing that, because he's already gone. We need to just, for real. That's what I said. I said, we need to just go ahead and get to the hospital for real and just get this cracking. This is it. I already, it's just like, it was just so strange that that's the way that I was thinking. And then they took him to Henry Ford Hospital, and he was, like I said, he was already deceased. But really, what really amazed me about Chinyelu is that his protection, he was Aries. Okay. He was quick on his feet.
Yeah,
he was quick. He was a quick thinker. And so what happened was that as my son was getting shot up and he seen that all of this stuff was happening, he never ran to the house to me. Chin, and I knew that's what it was, because I think about that right now. I was like, why he didn't come and try to take cover or anything? Nope. He went to that house. He didn't want that fire at his mama's house. And I knew that this is what Chinyelu was thinking. It's just automatic and it clicked. No, mama, I couldn't come to the house. He just how he talked. No, mama, I couldn't come to the house because, why would I bring that to? And then he went to their house, not right there, well lit. The lights was on and everything. These fools shooting and everything. It was just great. But he went the other way. So he was in protection mode and quick action mode. That Aries fire. That's how they think fast. Especially in crisis, they can think of things. They don't. They ain't finna weigh and measure like Libra. Me, nope. They getting ready to go after. So that's my opposite.
When's your birthday?
October 19th.
I'm October 9th.
What?
Girl.
Yes, Libra.
Come back to Chinyelu. When was Chinyelu's birthday? When was Chin's birthday?
Chinyelu 4/11, 97.
My son is 4/13, and I'm March 28th. So I know just what you're talking about with the Aries fire. So
wait.
Yes.
I need. First of all, I did not expect that we were going to get these incredible stories from you.
Yeah, you gave a whole book. There's a whole book.
We don't. Dionne and I don't, as principal, do not like to ask the hows.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't really delve into that. We like to we really stay in the space of like the emotional reactions and things like that, right? And if those stories come out, I mean, they come out and naturally and organically, just like right now. And I want to tell you that in the beginning of this, your cadence was very much preaching. You were preaching to us about how their time here is pre-described, right? It's preset. They're here for the time that they are supposed to be here. That was the beginning. And then I saw how the understanding and the knowledge and the messages from Spirit came in to solidify that in the details of the description of both of their transitions.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to tell you that many times, and a part of me was right there with you. I'm riding all of the waves with you. I'm understanding every nook, every little detail, every description. I understand it all. But the other side of my brain is saying, yo, people really think we're crazy, that we're hearing these voices, that we're having this level of understanding, that we're seeing all of this, and that we can be pragmatic through it as well.
Yep. That's right.
And because Mama Shu kept talking about the ancestors, I need a picture of Mama Christine. That's what I know. Because I keep thinking, Mama Christine, when you were looking at him, it's like, oh, he's gone. If he's gone, we need to keep moving because Mama Christine done taught you from the beginning, keep moving. You're clear on what this is, what is the next thing that needs to happen, and let us move on to that next thing. Now, no disrespect to Jakobi, no disrespect to Chin, no disrespect to Mama Christine. You're just clear that they have moved on. Their contract has ended. They got my back. They're one of the ancestors that got my back.
But you're still alive, and you're still here, and you're still breathing, and you still have to go.
And I want to say this one thing, that this one, whenever I do like funerals and everything, I do, because I've been a minister for 25 years. And so when I do funerals and everything, one of the verses that I talk about is weeping may endure through the night and joy comes in the morning.
Yes.
So when I talk about that, though, I don't say mourning, MORNING. I say it mourning.
MOU.
The thing about it is, and what I do is that I find joy in the morning. The morning has actually happened. This is what it is. I can't change this. It is what it is until it ain't. And we know that it's not going to be that. And so I just keep, and so what I do is I found beautiful flowers and journeys and different things all in the morning. So I was able to do Jakobi Ra Park in name of my son and have beautiful concerts. And we had KRS-One there and everything like 2 years ago. And we're able to do all these fantastic things in the thing named after him. His tombstone is there. Chinyelu, I have Invincible Gardens. Invincible Gardens is a beautiful flower garden with a community-built gazebo over it in there where when we do have different things, people can stop there, meditate, they can talk, they can do their homework in there and everything. Those are the things that I found while mourning, because it's happening. It's happening. It's always happening. It's going to continue to happen. But I wanted it to look beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I wanted it to produce, because I already knew what the other side could be. Like I said, it's some folks who don't embrace it. And it's a thing to be embraced.
Yeah.
People run away from death. But the thing about it is, it's a thing that you got to embrace because it's a regular thing that's going to happen. And the thing about it is this, the energy is going, it's all still there. It's just Chinyelu's body. It's just Jakobi's body is not there. So what I figure is now is that I have children that are in the heavens right now. I have ambassadors in the heavens that can let me know certain things that can help to protect me. And really, it's like I still raise my children. They're still a part of me, and I raise them. And so spiritually, I get instructions. Even when Jakobi was a little, a toddler and stuff, it feels like that. Like for real, like even from Chin, like, Ma, do this, go this. I get these little indications about things of how to still carry out things and stuff. And a lot of them represent what it is that they were about. So I'm the mother. I have parts of their DNA. They have parts of my DNA, and I am being them. That's the thing about it is like, how is that even cut off? So I do a lot of things that are influenced by my son, and that is his vibration living through me as his mother. That's the closest way that I can do it. The boys are still very involved in every single thing. Just sometimes I get wonderful surprises like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it, and I'm led in certain directions and certain places and go this way and do this. And when I'm feeling crappy about something or something going on, the song that I play in Chin's funeral will come on. I'll be like, and then for me, I was like, okay, then don't fret about that then, right? It's just little indications. I know what those things mean. With these boys.
Mama Shu, what you have done, unbeknownst to you, what you have done You have gone through the summary of all the episodes we've done already.
Hello. I was thinking that. I was
You
just
have done
thinking that.
in this one episode without seeing the others or all of them. I only sent y'all one. You have gone through what it is with grief and the afterlife and the ways that we communicate and what our toolboxes are, the signs that they sent us. You have covered almost everything
That
we
is a
have
fact.
gone over in our past
That is a
episodes.
fact. You have affirmed what we've been saying episode after episode after episode. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for living and existing in the vibration that Dionne and I are living and existing in. Like this, you know, in our first episode, we set the table. We said, come to our table, come sit with us and have a conversation with us about grief. People thought we was crazy. Even our producers, we love them. Thank you, Merrick Studios, for giving us a format. But even they were like, not convinced. We had to come in here like the energy that was behind us, like the wind and the breath that was pushing us from Seaway and from Dasan, and come in here and say, people need this conversation. I promise you, we're not the only ones that are sitting here and feeling this way. We are not the only ones that are having these existential, you know, experiences that we're tethered to this other energy. So I want to thank you for all of that. And you also have My Three Sons basketball court, spelled SUNZ. I'm a gardener. So I have my son, SON/SUN room downstairs, which is my little green room. And I do all of my gardening there. I go down there. I take care of my babies because Dasan came in very soon after he transitioned and said, Mama, get yourself some plants. They're going to fill the void. They're going to bring you life and energy and oxygen in the void of my, you know, me going. And so I did that, and I have this whole room set up. And so I want to tell you that I understand having these containers where that energy can just exist in a different way. I want to transition a little bit.
Okay.
Where you going? Because I want to go to Joy. Where you going?
That's where I'm going, Dionne. Let me set you up, sis. Please give me a second. Okay. So you mentioned joy in the morning, right? Joy will be there in the morning. It is a scripture. It's a passage in the Bible. It gives us instructions on what to do with this grief. Dionne here, her purpose is steeped in joy.
Yeah.
And her company is called In Joy. So Dionne, I would just want to set you up to talk to us about that purpose, because Mama Shu, you're bringing me much joy in the affirmation that you're giving us. And I, you know, with the smile that's on Dionne's face, beautiful face, like talk to us about your joy process.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mama Shu. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I also keep thinking, all right, we got to figure out when we come in, we got to come there and film there. We got to do an on-site podcast at Avalon
that'd be
Village.
beautiful.
That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. But okay, I digress. Hearing you say all that and seeing in myself that for me, that my purpose is joy. People talk about my smile before any particular loss. Like my first thing is like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to be happy. What you going to do? I don't know, but I'm going to be happy because my purpose is joy. And not a joy that ignores pain, fall down, get up, but a joy that gives people permission to live again. Like you fall down and you get up. I teach yoga, I teach dance, all these different things. And the yoga students get all upset. They fall down, you mess up a dance step, people are upset. I messed up. I said, your mama didn't look at you when you fell down 10 times learning to walk and said, oh, baby, that's never going to work for you. Just stay down there. You get up.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with grief. As grievers, when we turn our pain into purpose, we become carriers of something else. We ascend, we elevate, we create my favorite sort of virus, the favorite sort of virus of joy. We create a virus. I talked somewhere the other day, said, your energy is contagious. Is it worth catching? Our joy is a virus that is worth catching. It spreads, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, but it spreads through community, through laughter, through stories, by being a safe space. So You have just made my whole day. I have another event, after we do this, and I was just like, I'm gonna be so tired. You don't know that kind of
No, you're
like
not.
you have
No, you're not, because
poured
you done caught
into
the
me.
joy virus from
I
Mama Shu.
Yes.
And it's steeped in love and it's
And
steeped in
it's
purpose
spreading.
and all of that, right? Hey, Mama Shu, do you have a moment of joy that like came out of nowhere and surprised you?
A moment of joy that came out and surprised me. Wow. Ooh, it's so many, but as it relates to grief and the things that are going on, I remember feeling, I think this is a moment of joy, of really embracing what happened
Mm.
and being able to move through it. Just being able to move through it, like that moment, like you can really like, okay, I'm living with this. I'm living with it, right? Just like I'm still, I'm still going. But it was just in the moment of like, this is something to embrace and immerse yourself into, because it's there for that to happen and it's empowering. And once I connected that, I remember just once I just connected that, I'm able to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Like my mama said,
Yeah.
basically. It's something that we have to, when people are so afraid of death and we don't, we leave it up to the funeral people to plan our funerals and everything. I mean, I planned every step of we had drum and dance and everything. It was a whole different vibe and stuff for when my children transitioned and we had their celebrations and everything. But I really want folks to really look at it differently,
Mm.
embrace it. This is part of life.
Mm-hmm.
It is part of what happens instead of it being a dreaded thing. And then it helped me to disconnect with the flesh and really start exercising my spiritual powers and my spiritual connection. And it took my parenthood to another level. That's what it was. I'm like, these boys is gone, but guess what? I'm still their mama. And guess what? I'm going to still spoil them and get the things that they want in creating.
Ashé.
And so I'm like, let's get a park. This right here, let's do that. That was, and like you said, a practical and pragmatic and tangible way. So it gives me joy to be able to, they're not here, but to be able to have the heart and have the strength to, and like I said, for it to be bearable enough to still just be able to create wonderful things for myself, my community, and everything. Once and it's like an art. It's like something. It's like a flow that really has to be there, and then you learn it. And as you get more and more mature, too. I'm 60, so things are clicking more. As
That's
you
right.
get more mature, you start understanding what the whole life cycle thing is all about.
Yes.
And it also let me learn too that this has happened. Look, the rest of your time, I'm unafraid. I'm unapologetic for every single thing that goes on. Now, look our world, because I'm on it right now. For real.
Yes,
That's
you
I'm like,
are.
oh shoot, I'm on it. And for real. And then going through devastating losses like that, like people go through things, but when you go through things like that, man, and you go through the fire and everything, sometimes you're just not a regular old person no more.
You're
Especially
not.
after you manage it.
You're not.
Once you
You're
manage
not.
it and
No.
you know how to manage it, people are like, oh, and she just still looking that lip gloss on good and she just still looking beautiful. No, I'm just saying that she can do this. And a lot of people are like, how is you doing this? That is one of my most interviews that I was like, how are you able to manage and still be this and that? I'm like, but I can still see them. Here
That's
it
right.
is right
That's
here.
right.
For
Wow.
real, that's how I feel about
Right.
it. And I'm like, and I'm just happy every time look, we just got the bleachers. We had the My Three Sons basketball court, right? Well, last year we got a cement slab, and then we were able to put the bleachers on it. It brings me joy every time I'm able to add to that vision of that, So we
Mm.
got bleachers. Yay. It's real simple things for me. We get for real, we getting the fence this spring. Yay. When I get that done, I'm be like, all online. Yep, we did it. I'm just saying, I'm just geeked about all of those things.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
it
so,
sounds like joy came just from simply living.
Yes.
yes.
And that was surprising, right? That you were able to get to that point where you made the connection. You say you made the connection, then joy just started to come in like a virus and spreading. And it was just, it became more part of your, like it became a bigger piece of the pie for you. Joy became a bigger piece of the pie. You know,
Yes.
we do something here at Two Mothers, One Ashé where we try to walk away from every episode giving our listeners tools to add to their grief toolbox.
Yep.
Because we feel that we need to walk around as grievers with our grief toolbox and we could pull from it whenever necessary. And so um we like to just kind of, you gave us, by the way, an entire toolbox full of tools, but I want to pull a few of them out for this,
Okay.
for the purpose of just kind of recapping, right? So purpose needs a vessel, purpose needs a body, purpose needs somewhere to go. And if that purpose is coming from the pain and from the grief, right? How do we contain all of it? And you're a master at this point, right? Getting it, containing it, and putting it in its place, allowing it to exist in this container. So pain moves when given a form. It moves into joy, it moves into community, it moves into sustainability, and it moves into this place where it can continue on. And so the tool for one of the tools for this episode is purpose needs a container.
Yeah.
You
And
wanna
gave it a
cover
whole village.
another one?
You gave it a whole village. But yes,
Yeah.
it's a whole village. But it's the one, of course, what I talked about is it being contagious. You know, to let your joy be contagious. Like, I didn't know, we never know what's going to happen when we have a guest on, but your energy, that fire, from your children, from your ancestors, how you've embodied that to let joy be contagious. And that one moment, that one story, and you gave us so many stories, but for our listeners, for our grievers, that let joy be contagious, it could be one moment, one story, one shared space, one memory, one yes. For you, we said the bleachers. Yes. The fence. Yes. That moment of, ooh, where, somebody, their joy is contagious, and let it be contagious.
And I'm going to add to that, and this is our third tool, right? Joy is not a betrayal. Put your lip gloss on, put your lipstick on, put your smile on your face,
Get your
show
nails
up,
did, get your
show
hair
up
did.
beautiful, show up like you're living, like you're amongst the living, like you are loving life. Because your joy is actually a manifestation of where our ancestors exist. They exist in a place of love. They exist in a place where pain does not exist. So when we show up in our joy, we're not betraying their memory. We're actually alchemizing it and moving it forward and sharing it with the community.
Thank you for
So
closing with that, Yvette, because so often we
Yes,
hear, and
Yvette.
I'm sure you've heard that, Mama Shu, we always hear from our clients, from people, they feel guilty when they feel joy. So we need to let them know what you just said. It's not a betrayal. Don't feel guilty for your joy. It's an act of service. You living fully, living vibrantly, living with and through the life that they have left in you. Since they are not living, you get to live fully, and that's an act of love. Thank you for closing with that. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to say two other things
Please.
right quick. Do we have time?
yes, you get the
Okay.
final word, and then we move on to our moment of Ashé.
Okay. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and we kind of was talking about, is really when we lose these loved ones, and we have all, like my children, the children, quote unquote, they had their lives 23, 2 years old, and all of that. But it's like all these years that you just wanted to love them, and it's like those years of actually physically loving them is don't exist anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because the contract is over. This is what it is and everything. And it's like, where does the love go? It's like you just because the person is not there anymore, or that being is not there, that still has to go. And it's still just loving them. I'm still loving them. I'm still paying attention to what it is that you need, son. What it is that we need in the community. That's one thing that I wanted to talk about. And then another thing, when we talk about community, and when you say virus, one of the things about about building the village, and I've always said this, and I've said this in so many interviews. We talk about the village. My goal was to do it and to also make it infectious. To make the village and the community infectious. So when they see this happening, oh, this is happening on this block that was blighted and once notorious, one of the worst blocks in Highland Park that got turned back around. When they see that, then it starts to spread. Then you see somebody else doing a little something, something.
That's
then
right.
somebody call you and say, hey, how did you do this? I need help doing this and that in the neighborhood. So I actually see the work of the village becoming infectious and people really wanting to know, and I see it in other areas, is what's happening. And so that's another way too. But I always said, when I build it, we want to make it infectious. We want people to know that nothing is hopeless. This
That's right.
dead neighborhood, it was ashes. It can be a phoenix rising. We can come back and we can go ahead and make this work. And so that's what we've actually done. Some of the people who did the criming, actually, I mean, for real, like I'm talking about drugs and the gang, it was just rough. This block, Avalon, and the spirit led me over there. Do you know, I didn't even know that it was that out cold. All I knew is this block was terribly blighted, and something just kept drumming like, go over there. This is where you're going to do your ministry and go fix it up and just make something beautiful for Highland Park and just community. So this is what I was thinking of. But I didn't know that it had the reputation of being, and my police chief, when I was a police officer, I was that for 6 years in Highland Park. And I remember my police chief saying, Harris, you over there, whatever, in Avalon Street, you know, we used to call the police over there 6 times a day over there. They did X, Y, and Z. And even some of the drug dealers, the former drug dealers, and they're all older now, some in wheelchairs and everything from being shot up and everything. They would come tell me, oh my God, Mama Shu, I can't believe that this place is looking like this after everything that took place over here. I always get that testimony a lot from a lot of the young men and the young women who was about that life over there. And so it's just a pleasure. It's just a pleasure to spread and to really see that people can really know that something that is, and one thing I thought about this, and this is the end of what I wanted to say, is that sometimes we always think, like for instance, with that block, to me, it just couldn't get no deader. Like it's like what? Like we already stomped in the ground. Like what the heck? It could only go up to me. That's what I used to think. Like, okay, this is the bottom of the barrel for this. It ain't no matter. I'm talking about it was at its worst state. Okay, I said it can't go nowhere else but up, and we need to go ahead and let that phoenix just rise out of the ashes. The block tore up from the floor up for real, and also it was just like crazy.
Girl.
And now we're able to just build and draw and manifest what it is to what it takes to actually build it patiently and intuitively. I build intuitively. I don't rush with anything. I let spirit tell me when to move on certain things, and I'm very, very obedient, and I'm very and I can say this because I've practiced this. You know, I can say that like, yep, oh no, I'm not worried about that. I'm getting ready to do some low-hanging fruit first. Yep, I see I want that. I'm getting ready to spirit say, you're going to manifest that. But meanwhile, over here, go on and go take care of this, because here's something that you can pick right now and enjoy the fruit of it. You know, for real, that's what, and it's just like, you can pick that now. Now that right there, going to take a minute. Because guess what? I may have to character build. I may have to, I may have to go through 1, 2, or 3 things or something like that, or learn something. And it's the same thing with the boys becoming ancestors too. Those are stepping stones into us beginning and being. You know, and once that kind of stuff clicks, and it just clicked in my mind, I enjoy creating right now. And I enjoy because I expect for things to be wonderful. You know, I expect to get certain things, because guess what? Blood, sweat, and tears over here, literally. For literally, blood, sweat, and tears brought me here for real. You know, like I'm telling you, kids literally died in the streets.
Hello.
I mean, it's just like crazy. So I'm like, nope, I'm getting ready to take this all the way. So, you know, you get the people that think you're crazy and you're doing something, like, go right on ahead. I'm just building the village. I don't even care what they say.
Mama
I be
T,
telling Vaughn, I be like, I don't care what they say. We're going to do this, and here's how it's going to be. Look, and I wrote it down, and here's my wish list. You
I
know,
totally got a visual of you in the village, but your village is surrounded by your ancestors holding hands, and they
mm,
have you encircled.
oh
And
my
mm,
goodness.
there is
mm.
nothing that's gonna come in there and stop you from doing the good work.
No, it's
Mama
not.
Too.
Impenetrable. And
Wow. Wow.
so infectious. Thank you for sharing those things.
Thank
And
you.
what you said earlier, you said a couple of times that there's a whole nother show about this and a whole nother story about that. What you just said about HP, because I heard you on Ellen talk about HP. So
Yes.
that we, Yvette and I, come from the hoods too. We are definitely phoenixes that rose from the ashes of neighborhoods that were
Oh
all
my
in
goodness.
areas. So to see that you took HP being on the bottom on the map for the worst to elevating it to the top and a whole nother level of ascension. And we can definitely mirror and reflect that from the areas that Yvette and I both grew up in New
I
York
grew up in
City.
East New York, Brooklyn. By the way,
Wow.
notoriously the worst neighborhood in Brooklyn. The worst high school. Dionne lived in the Bronx.
South Bronx, Fort
The
Apache.
South.
Every time
There
you
you
were
go.
watching
Fort
movies,
Apache, the
and
Bronx.
yeah,
So
What?
we understand coming from that, and and what it takes to take that energy, take all the things that we've witnessed, take all the things that we've seen, take all the beatings, right? Like they want to beat the life out of us in those
Yes.
situations, and it's just like, yeah, nah,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to go work that on somebody else. That's not gonna work over here.
nah,
And
So,
even
but
having Vaughn as Vaughn to me in my life right now is really next level because I am running for mayor of
let's
Highland
talk about
Park.
that real quick. Come on now,
I
because
want to talk about that because this is where you get your gifts and your teams. It's almost like everything elevates and gets tighter and tighter. And meeting Vaughn, which was very magical, how we met each other, and then how we are able to build and to be able to create a team. He is connected with a lot of folks, and so am I. And we were able to bring some things together, and our team is like next level, like, and it's like going there, and that is such a beautiful thing. That lets me know too that I'm on the right track
yes,
because I didn't know. I'm like ancestors. I don't even have a campaign manager. I've never even done this to this level before. I ran for city council 3 times, but having Varnum and having all of these professionals, I'm talking about people that's been in some races and then won. It's just like I can't make this up how the ancestors just sitting up there laying it all out like that. For real. Like, shoo, you ain't even got to worry about X, Y, and Z and Vaughn and other team members. It's just like putting stuff into place, coming over with the team already. Higher level team. This ain't no
listen,
small fry stuff that
you
we're doing.
testifying, sis. You are testifying.
And also it lends to when we talk about the virus and when we talk about infectious and when we talk about spreading, Spirit is setting up where a team where we're able to go and spread it to Highland Park now
Aché.
more and off the block. This
Mhm.
off the block to City Hall now, basically. And that's what's actually happening. So it's just up to me to pay attention and be aware and capitalize on those things and don't ignore anything. Take every single thing as a message and every single thing as a symbol or a sign that you in the right direction. So I feel that way about Vaughn. I feel that way about the folks that he's introduced me to and all of that. And I feel blessed that they've embraced what it is about the village and us spreading and blight to beauty in the city. So I just want to say that when we talk about levels of it, when I met them, I don't, and here's another thing. Going to the next level too when you're vulnerable about it because it's a lot that I don't know about this. And then for the creator to put you in good hands. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
okay, I don't know about this and that, Vaughn. I'm learning about a lot of things, but it's like, okay, but you can still feel okay being vulnerable, not knowing and everything. You surrounded by professionals that's gonna get you through it and get you a team and everything. So it's okay for you to relax and just go ahead and submit to this thing. It's just, I tell you, it's a lot of submitting going
Yeah, no,
on.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
Yes.
it
We talk
is.
about
Yes.
submission all the time. We talked about but for your first line of defense and offense are the ancestors. That's your first line. And then they putting everything else into place, and they're helping you build this army for the good work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what's happening, Yvette, for
All
real.
you got to do is sit there and say, okay, just give me a second now. I need to process this. Let me
Yes,
just
that's
figure
all
it-
I need,
put,
too.
put it in my way, and we go. Look, Dionne's about to take a bunch of people to Kenya and do this whole spiritual grief and all the things retreat.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I've built this wellness business that I'm still building. And, you know, while you were talking, I'm also a psychic intuitive. I'm a medium. I'm a practicing medium. You know, I'm developing in this spiritual way that has been really profound for me. And so I often have dialogue with spirit. And while you were talking, spirit said to me, it's all in her name. Mama Shu, you may have lost 2 physical children, but there are people like Vaughn and other people. The city of Detroit are going to be your children. You are going to come as the matriarch, as the mother who has lived a life, a lived experience in the city of Detroit, that other people need you and your nurturing and your wisdom as you walk into this matrilineal phase of your life, as you get this breath of experience, as you get the support from the ancestors, and you are going to lead these people. And so you become the mother of all. Through the loss of your own physical children. I feel that I'm 55. I feel like I'm coming into that space. I have spiritual children that turn to me. Like, it has been the most rewarding phase. And you would think that everything was taken from me when my son was taken from me. No, all of the doors opened at that point.
Fly open, boy.
Fly. Mama Shu said
They fly open.
Let me tell you, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
Thank y'all. But this is where I want to talk to the folks listening. Y'all need to save this episode. You need to watch it again. You need to listen to it again. You need to pull out your notebook, because there are so many different ways of being that you could pull from Yvette, from Mama Shu, from me. And if you, the listener, wherever you are on your grief journey, if it's new for you, if it's 15 years in, if you're 30 years in, if you have been waiting for permission, if you have been waiting for permission, this is it. You have been given permission. Joy has been waiting for you. We are giving you permission to experience it, to live it, and to become the best version of yourself in spite of grief, in partnership with grief. If you've been waiting for permission, this is it.
This is it. Whew. We come to a point, and we are here. We have come to the point of our moment of Ashé. Mama Shu, you know that Ashé, I'm sure you know, I'm assuming you understand the power behind the word Ashé. It means life force. And so the understanding is that our loved ones, our beloveds, are truly never dead until their names are no longer spoken. And so at the end of every episode, we take an opportunity to breathe Ashé, to breathe life into the memories and into the energy of our ancestors. And so I would love for you to lead us into this moment of Ashé by naming those names that you want to keep alive. And then Dionne and I will follow.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity again, sisters. I really appreciate it. So right now, creator and creatress, I want to call on Chinyelu, the invincible one. I want to call on Jakobi, my star. I want to call on Christine Cooper, my mother.
Ashé, Ashé, and Ashé.
Dionne,
You go. Okay.
you want me to go? I'll go. I have one. My niece Victoria. She's my niece by marriage. She died by suicide, and I've been thinking about her a lot this week. I didn't know her very well. I met her a few times, but I don't know. Her spirit has been coming in really strong for me. And so I've been saying her name at my altar, and I want to say her name here, Victoria White.
Victoria White. Ashé.
Victoria White. Ashé.
Ashé. You talked about mentors and the children that we have that we didn't give birth to. And recently I ran into a former yoga student that always said, I need a mentor. I need you to mentor me. And we lost contact. We ran into each other in the train station in New York, as it does. And she was like, oh my God, she took off her hat and hood because I couldn't recognize her. She was covered up to here because it's cold. And I hadn't known her mother died. I remember when her father died and she left New York, and she looked at me. I've been going through something, but your podcast has been helpful. And I was like, what? Huh? And she goes, yes, I haven't seen you, but you're still mentoring me. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, well, please tell me your mother's name so we can bring Ashé to your mother. And tears welled up in her eyes, and she said, Kim Butler. So Kim Butler.
Kim Butler.
Kim Butler. Ashé.
Ashé. Oh, I'm giving you such a big hug, Mama Shu and Yvette.
Thank you,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Yvette and Dionne, I appreciate you so much. This
Oh,
was really, really a wonderful, this was a wonderful time. And it just was healing just to even
mhm.
be invited and just to talk about things and all the nuances of everything. Yeah, I really appreciate this session. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. We look forward to seeing you in Detroit, Miss Mayor. Miss Mayor.
That's
Yeah.
right, Miss Mayor, Madam Mayor, Madam
Ma-
Mayor.
Yes.
We
Oh my
putting it out
goodness,
there.
y'all. Thank you.
We are putting it out there, and you know, we have a whole battalion of ancestors that make things happen for us. So there you go,
Oh,
Madam Mayor.
shoot.
We're speaking it into truth.
Let
So
us
till next time, you
touch and
guys.
affirm.
May your pain find purpose, and may purpose invite joy, and may joy spread. Until next time, we love you.
We'd love for you to join the conversation with us on Instagram at 2, that's the number 2, mothers, 1, the number 1, Ashé Pod. And produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.
Until next time, may love carry you through.